skis on. Today I got another RDA build for you. Oh, that's right, an RDA build. Rip Tripper's doing RDA build. Yep, it's been a while, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do the Petri build today on this Petri RDA. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show you how to do this build, shall we? So the wire I'm gonna be using today is this A1 22 gauge Canthal that I received from Epic Vape, epicvape.com. And today for this build, I'm gonna be using about a foot of this stuff. And the screwdriver I'm going to be using today to wrap my coil is going to be this 2.4mm flathead. And you want to make sure that before you do your wraps that each lead is going to be about 3 inches in length. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do 12 wraps of this 22 gauge Canthal, A1 Canthal around this 2.4mm flathead. 12 wraps. So that's a start. Pull this lead up, just like so. Leave this lead exactly the way it is. Straighten it out. And that right there is what we're looking at so far. And today we're going to be using this Petri RDA, hence the Petri build. And as you guys can see, I've unscrewed each screw from each post because today we're going to be trapping each lead in between those screws in those posts. So I've got the Petri RDA positioned how I would like it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to place the coil in between each post, just like so. I position this coil to where each lead is going under in the opposite direction, not over, under. It's more convenient for me, but to each is their own. You can switch it over and you can go over on each end. I just prefer under. Now the next step, while holding the screwdriver down with this index finger right here, I'm going to go ahead and take this lead and I'm going to pull it around this way in between the screw and the post. Like so. Wrap it around. Hold that in place. And you want to make sure that all the slack is pulled out of this lead. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Phillips head screwdriver, tighten this connection down. You want to tighten it as much as possible. Pull this lead around. Next step, do the exact same thing for this side. You want to pull this lead around and in between the screw and the post is what I mean. But you pull this around just like that. Perfect. Pull the slack out, hold that into place, tighten it down with the Phillips head screwdriver. So the next step I've done is I pull back each lead, and what we're going to do is we're just going to cut each lead. I've got my wire cutters right here. Oh, there goes one. Now the idea of this coil is to make sure that it's completely even. I mean, completely even in between those two posts. So what we're going to do is we're just going to situate it a little bit. We're going to keep the screwdriver in there. We're going to push in, make sure she's even. That's looking good so far. So like I said, you want this coil to be in the center of both those posts. I mean, evenly spaced in between those posts. And here's the height right here, okay? That's what we're looking at right there. That's where you want it to be. And the reason, when you pop that top cap on there, you want both those air holes that are parallel to go through this coil. See that? It's going straight through the coil. Next step, we're just going to heat her up, get her nice and tidy. Starting to look good. And you know, I think it's a lot easier to work with this 22 gauge. Yeah, it's a lot tougher, it's thicker. But you know what? I think it's easier to work with than the 24 and the 26 gauge. I mean, that's what we want right there. So the next step is I've taken some organic Japanese cotton, this sandwiched organic Japanese cotton, and I've cut a piece 40mm in length and about 7mm in width. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this piece of organic Japanese cotton, okay, and I'm going to tuck it underneath the coil. Clip the edges, tuck it in the deck. Saturate that cotton bed with some juice. And then what I've done is I've cut a piece of this Japanese cotton, of a little rectangular piece, about 8mm by 10mm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this rectangular little piece of organic cotton on top of the coil. Now this is a crucial step. You want to take the edges of each piece at the top, this top piece of cotton, and you want to push each edge down around the side of the coil. Pushing the cotton down the sides of this coil. And we can even clean it up from there, make it look nice and neat. So that's what we're looking at so far. We got one more step, one more wicking step, which I'm going to show you right now. So I cut another slither of this organic cotton out. It is sandwiched. What I did was I pulled one of the pieces apart, okay? I pulled the sandwich apart and using just one side, but it is 45 millimeters in length by 5 millimeters in width. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it across the top. Lay it on the top, and then I'm going to tuck the sides down each side of the post. Put juice on the top just a little bit. Works as an adhesive. Clip just the edge right here. Holding this side down, I'm going to tuck this side in on the outside of this post. Cut this side. Do the same thing, tuck this side in on the outside of this post. Put some more juice on her, saturate her. And I mean, you could load the sucker with juice and take hit after hit after hit, man. Wait till you see me vapor. Now the next step is going to be a crucial, just like I showed you before, but you want to make sure you line up the holes on the top cap with the hole going through the coil. Boom. Lined up. Pop the drip tip in there and we are ready to vape. Woohoo! So that right there, boys and girls, is how to do this Petri build using 22 gauge Kanthal. So I got the airflow holes on both sides lined up with the center of the coil so it goes through the coil. Now here's the thing. The coil is medium size. It's medium length. I'm talking about the coil I showed you guys how to build in the close-ups, the 22 gauge, 12 wraps, all that good stuff. That is a medium length coil. Okay, I've got this 0.5 ohm build in here, vaping at 33 watts, which is at 4.26 volts. But like I said, I'm going to go back to the medium-sized coil because that is a big key factor. The reason why I did a medium-sized coil for you guys is because I wanted to show you how well it vapes with the 2 air holes open on both sides, lined up with the hole, straight directly with the coil. But I also wanted to show you guys how well it vapes with 1 air hole blocked off. So I got one of the air holes blocked off. Here we go. Woo! Vapor production, you saw it. Fogging. Flavor is even better when you block 1 air hole off on one side, leaving 1 air hole open on the other, okay? It's even better with a medium-sized coil. So if this top cap had adjustable airflow and you had an airflow option where you can run this thing in single coil or single air hole mode and dual air hole mode, you'd be set, or I'd be set right now. But here's the thing. With a medium-sized coil with 2 air holes running through the center of the coil, it's not going to vape as well. It vapes well, it does. I'm going to go ahead and vape it one more time for you. Same thing, 33 watts. 4.22 volts with a 0.5 ohm build. Here we go. I mean, it vapes well, and I can take hit after hit after hit. Flavor is really, really good. Okay, vapor, holy crap, you see it. But yeah, this is a 0.5 ohm build. I mean, that's high for 22 gauge Kanthal, don't get me wrong. The ramp up time is not bad at all. I mean, it's just like, it's like 1 second, boom, it hits, and it's rocking and rolling. The way this top cap is, the airflow holes on both sides, it's a cool vape. It's not even a warm vape. That's why when you block it off on one side, it's a better vape with the way this thing's set up with that medium-sized coil. Keep going back to that medium-sized coil because while it vapes well with a medium-sized coil with both air holes running through the center of the coil, it'll vape even better with a longer coil with more wraps. Either way, to me, it's a win. So you can run this thing in 3 different ways. The way I showed you with the air holes open on both sides, running through the center of the coil with a medium-sized coil, and it works great. It doesn't give you a hot vape. It doesn't give you a dense vape, but it gives you a nice, flavorful vape. You get great vapor production. Or you could keep it the exact same, the medium-sized coil, 12 wraps with a 22 gauge Kanthal, and you can block 1 air hole off on one side. Don't do it with your thumb. I don't recommend doing it with your thumb because you'll burn your thumb. But block it off and you'll be rocking and rolling. Or you could build a longer coil, like 18 wraps with a 22 gauge Kanthal. I'm just giving you an example. Try it out. 18 wraps with 22 gauge Kanthal around the 2.4 millimeter screwdriver. It's going to become a more dense, warmer vape because each side of the coil is going to be closer to each air hole. You can leave both air holes open on both sides. Give that a shot. All this talking and no vaping. I got to take me one more hit before you wrap this sucker up. So I hope that helps. If you're interested in doing this Petri build, give it a shot. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.